mediocrity, it ain't no friend to me. Wage a war, wage a war, wage a war, wage a war against mediocrity, it ain't no friend to me. Wage a war, wage a war, wage a war, wage a war against mediocrity, it ain't no friend to me.
What's up out there, family and friends? It's your boy, the motivational teacher to the masses, coming again with another edition of Motivational Monday. For all my replayers, please give me about 90 seconds as I go out and I share this to all my friends and family. And if you're out there, holla at your boy. If you're out there, go ahead and share this with 4 or 5 of your closest relationships. Because as we always say, if they can't grow with you, they can't go with you. So I'm about to do the same thing. And then I'm starting to see people, the eyes add up. As you come in the room, holler at your boy and let me know you're out there. Holler at your boy and let me know what you've been up to this week. Man, you don't go to anybody, your neighbor's house, and don't announce yourself, do you? Nah. So holler at your boy. Hey, Pat, thanks for joining us. Hey, I see my sister out there tomorrow. I need that shirt. When hate is loud, love must not be silent. I stand with the people in Buffalo. I stand with the families in Ukraine. When hate is loud, love must not be silent. And I think for the eyes and ears that are out there, we can't sit idly by and watch brothers and sisters go through things and us even not acknowledge that they're going through. Hey, I'm trying to give y'all a few minutes to go ahead, and I got more than 10 eyes already. Go ahead and share this to 5 different people. Write their name down there. What's up, Edwin? Write their name down in the chat box. Go ahead and if you got it, tag them. I'm doing it right now. And if you get this from me, hey, Jane, thanks for joining us. If you get this from me, just know that I want you to go with me. In order to go with me, you got to grow with me, ladies and gentlemen. You got to be able to grow with me. I had the most beautiful message today from a person that watches Bridging the Nations, and she watches these Motivational Mondays. She sent me the nicest message today, just saying, like, when she's not live, she's catching these replays. And she just went on and on about how much she's changed and how this is doing so much for her, but not just for her, but also for her grandkids. So I'm just so blessed to be in this situation to where I can break bread. You know, my voice isn't perfect today, but we got to show up anyway. You understand? We're not going to always have perfect conditions, but we got to show up anyway. Episode 144 of Awaken, Your I Am. Whoa, I can't believe it, y'all. Almost 2 years of chasing one thought. 2 years of chasing one thought, the awaken I am. I am convinced that man only has one problem. I am convinced that man has been given one challenge and one purpose to his entire life. And that's to see yourself through the lens of which God sees you. I just broke bread. Hey, good afternoon, Vanico, out there on YouTube. I got people hitting me up, texting me, hey, I'm on live. You better find the thread. I just send them to everybody that can get it. I'm so blessed, man. Like, I'm gonna get into tonight, but I want to set the stage, and I'm gonna go as long as I can. I'm gonna set the stage, man, just to know how blessed we truly are to be in this season of life. To know that, you know, even with everything that's going on in this world, I wore my shirt in solitude with my people in Buffalo and my people in Ukraine. You know, I wore it to stand with them in this time, man, because I'm telling you, there's a lot going on negative in this world, but to us who can see the opportunity, you know, there are mountains being moved right now today. There are visions being cast right there today. And if we have the right lens, the right viewpoint to see from the lens of the great I am awakening my I am. Hey, what's up, Devin? Thanks for joining us. Consistency and commitment. Let's get it, Pat. I'm ready to eat. That's what I'm talking about, man. We're already at double-digit eyes. Y'all go ahead and share this to 4 or 5 other people so we can get to it. Tonight, I want to talk from the angle of watch your eyes. All motivational teacher that sound like an oxymoron. How can I watch my eyes when my eyes is the gateway into who I am? Oh yeah, I'm gonna break bread today. And for some of us, we're gonna be like, motivational teacher, you in my house. For some of you all, I'm gonna introduce you all to a new concept tonight. You gotta watch your eyes. I know what they said. Like, we watch TV, meaning our eyes is the gateway to the internal, everything that's going on around us. I know what I'm saying. It's as an oxymoron. How can I watch my eyes, motivational teacher? And the challenge with a lot of us is we haven't known. I'm about to run out of this room already. That I got power over my interpretation of what these eyes see. You better watch these eyes. You better watch those eyes. Episode 144, Awaken Your I Am. You better watch those eyes. That word watch, it means to look at or observe attentively over a period of time. Let me say that one more time. That word watch means to look or observe attentively over a period of time. Come on now, I'm going somewhere tonight. Y'all better holler at your boy. Go ahead and share this to your top 5. To look at attentively for over a period of time. See, if we don't begin to watch our eyes will tell us a story that may or may not be true. If we don't begin to conceptualize what I see, and if what I see, is it real or is it not real? Let me say this, is it real or is it subject to change? Until I begin to watch my eyes, I accept what's fed through my eye gate that is collaborated from my ear gate. And then from what I speak is all dictated by me watching from my eyes. Research says if a kid grows up in a house where there's drugs, there's violence, there's drugs, there's violence, lack of education. Hey Garrett, thanks for joining us, bro. Lack of education. Research says that the kid that grows up in that household is more likely to now be a person that is using drugs, dealing drugs, or doing illegal activity that lands them into prison or lands them into jail. And the reason research has come to this conclusion, I think it was 82% more likely. The reason why research has came to that conclusion, they don't ever tell us how to get to the conclusion. The reason why they're saying that what these children have seen while they were in that home growing up dictates, because of what they watch, dictates the decisions that they are available or able to make. Unless there's a life hack, research says that kid or those children are subject to making the same mistakes or living the same lifestyle that they witnessed in their household. Research also says that you can take a kid that had that same start and take them out the house when they're 2 and give them to somebody who's willing to nurture, who's willing to read, who's willing to reinforce education, who's willing to give them the tools necessary to be successful. Research says that kid can turn out to be not shaped from what the environment he was born in or the genomes or the genes of which the parents he was born with, but his manifestation could look similar to what he came from. So motivational teacher, it all goes back to that story. Is it nurture or is it nature? Oh my God, I'm gonna break bread tonight. Is it nurture or is it nature? You gotta watch your eyes. Garrett, I got a meeting tomorrow at 10, bro. I ain't gonna be able to do that tomorrow at 10. You gotta watch your eyes. Come on, Preston. You gotta watch your eyes. Because if you don't begin to watch your eyes, just as research says that kid that grew up in an environment, if you don't begin to watch your eyes will begin to dictate your life's decisions and your life's worth. You got to watch your eyes because of the fall, because of what happened in the Garden of Eden. I'm going to break bread tonight. Because of Adam looking away from his nature and looking toward the enemy who comes to steal, kill, and destroy, this world only wants to see you average. Let me break bread. If you're only living by the dictate of your environment, or if you're only living by the nature of what you've seen, this world only wants you to be average. You got to start watching your eyes. Motivational teacher. How do I watch my eyes? Oh, I'm going to break bread tonight. And the important reason why you want to watch your eyes is because the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. I'm about to break bread. And when I say the enemy, I'm not talking about Beelzebub. I'm not talking about Lucifer. I'm not talking about the devil. I'm not talking about the fallen angel. When I say the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy, before, oh my God, I got to break bread. By the time we become conscious of what my thoughts are and what my eyes have been watching, we have now begun to create patterns of behaviors. Oh, I'm going to break bread. It's amazing that you never have to tell the baby to cry to say I'm hungry, but the baby automatically knows I'm hungry when they feel uncomfortable and they want that bottle. You don't have to teach them how to cry. Likewise, you don't have to teach a baby how to internalize information and create a new conclusion. I'm breaking bread right now. How does a baby know candy is good? Hey, you don't have to tell a baby, hey, have some of this sweet candy, have some of this good candy. They put the candy in their mouth and they determine, Capri Suns, that is good based on their interpretation of the drink or of the snack or of the candy. They make that. You don't have to teach them. You don't have to teach babies how to draw conclusions. It is innate in every Homo sapien, male or female. I'm about to break bread. You wondering why? How did I get to the place where I was so destructive in relationships? You would start interpreting data from your eyes and your ears before you even knew you could interpret data. Your brains is a group of firing neurons that is taking in more than 250 seconds worth of information every minute. It's taking in so much information every minute that you're not even aware of what you're watching. I just broke bread. You're not even aware. You can't even be conscious of everything that's going or every stimuli that is being received by your brain. You make more than 250,000 decisions every week. How many of them are we conscious and we're deliberate of? I'll give you an example. I was taking my oldest son to school this morning, not this morning, earlier last week. And I was driving on autopilot. Like I always go the same way. I always do that. I make a right and then a left. So I made my first right and then I got to my where I make the left and I made another right because I was strictly in autopilot. And in my mind, it told me I was at my first stop where I make the right. So instead of me making a left on the second one, I made a right because I was strictly autopilot. I had my mind on something else that wasn't one on the task at hand. However, my brain was interpreting information, and the interpretation to my brain is I was at the first stop. And so I turned right when I should have turned left. Motivational teacher. I made that drive for at least 2 years in a row. And today, and last week, rolling on autopilot, I made a right when I should have made a left. How many decisions do we make in a day where my eyes and my ears are interpreting data that I don't even decide the outcome of the decision? Come on, man. That's a bread-breaking moment right there. That's a bread-breaking moment right there. How many of these habits or behaviors do we have that we built because we were watching our eyes? I grew up in a three-bed. It was 8 of us in a 3-bedroom trailer. We mostly ate what my granddaddy grew in the garden. We didn't have a whole lot of things. So when you got something, it was innate in me from a youth that when I got something, to hoard it. When I get $10, I'm not going to spend my $10. I'm going to save my $10 as long as I can have it. How did I get a spirit of poverty? It was innate in me, and I came to that conclusion that I need to hoard because I might not get anything else. And so inside of me, I developed a spirit of poverty that was on me from a very young age, not because we didn't have, but that was my interpretation of how I get out. Oh, that's a bread breaking moment because because God is already given us the vision that I want something different, that I want to be something different. But how do I get to different? I have no other conclusion but to interpret the data that's around me. And so before I got my growth mindset, so I interpreted I watched, I saw what my eyes saw, lack. I saw what my eyes saw, fear. I saw what my eyes saw. We would come home in the afternoon, the lights would be off. We would come home, the gas might be off. Motivational teacher, I interpreted it as that when I get something, I got to hold on to something so I won't be, I've always made the confession, I'll never be broke another day of my life. But how I went about not being broke was not pleasing to the great I am, because it was built in self-preservation and fear, because that was my interpretation from what I saw growing up. Even before I knew my mind was interpreting data, I was already being programmed from my environment to be average. Come on, Lavarius. It's so funny that you can have two kids that grew up in the same house. One could go and be a Fortune 500 lawyer. The other one can be in prison. Motivational teacher. They both had the same mama. They both had the same daddy. They both had the same experience. How is it that one is a prestigious, working for a prestigious law firm, and the other one is serving time in San Quentin? How is it? Because of their interpretation of their data. Man, I just broke bread. It's because the story that they allowed their eyes to give them. So y'all better go tell y'all mama and them to get on here. Y'all better go tell y'all grandmama and them to get on here. Everybody that asked you for money this week, you better tell them to join right now. Everybody that's been calling you about the problems they having in their marriage, you better tell them to hop on here tonight, because whom the Son sets free. Somebody holler at your boy. Thank you, Lavarius. Whom the Son set free is truly free indeed. And there's so many of us that are bound because we haven't been watching our eyes. Said Jiffy Mix. So you breaking bread made from scratch, not that pre-made Jiffy Mix. The story, the version of the story that I determined to believe was not even a story that I was conscious to even build. My environment, my interpretation of data, even from a young age, when I wasn't mature enough to be able to put two thoughts around my situation. And I began to craft a story that is detrimental to my well-being. I'm going to tie this together. The enemy comes to steal. The enemy comes but to steal, kill, and destroy. Motivational teacher. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Just like Cain and Abel. Good example, bro. Just like Cain and Abel. That's a real good example. I'm going to have to come back to that one. So I built this story around me, started from my youth, based on my environment and based on the interpretation that I've seen with my own eyes. I began to build this story. But now we know the enemy comes but to kill, steal, and destroy. At what point does the enemy come to kill, steal, and destroy? I gotta break bread. I gotta break bread. I like your example, Divine. I'm going this way. This is why I'm a motivational teacher. And I had not thought about Cain and Abel. Cain and Abel ended up in their situation. Cain, that joker, Cain. Abel, they became their situation because of their interpretation of what they saw their mom and their dad go through with the fall. Cain slew Abel. One of them ate. One of them worked from the field. One of them worked with the killed and brought food with animals. But one gave God the fruits of his labor, and he presented them to God like an offering. And Cain became jealous because Abel offered up an offer that God wanted, and so he killed Abel. And God said Abel's blood cried out from the ground. Motivational teacher. How is it that they both watched the same daddy, same mama go through, and one decided to slew the other one while the other was bringing God sacrifices? All because of the story they interpreted from the fall of Adam and Eve in the garden. One became angry and one grew closer to the great I am. How is it, motivational teacher? It's all about how they interpreted their environment, their data, how they interpret it around them. That's why I'm telling you, if you don't wash these eyes, they will make a liar out of you. You'll be telling yourself that I can't get ahead, and all the whole time, simply because you said that, there's something on the inside of you that connects you to being ahead. I just broke bread. The enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. When does the enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy? By the time you're 35, you're 80% of what you're going to be. By the time you're 13, you're 65% of what you're going to be. So the enemy, all he has to do is come and kind of mess with your environment just a little bit and allow one or two people to tweak your interpretation of the data. Like I remember people used to tell me, my dad, hey mom, my dad was in and out of prison my whole life. My dad did what he could. My dad didn't know his dad. And so at least I knew my dad. My dad outperformed his dad. That's the story I told myself. That's the version of the story my mom gave us to protect us from going toxic as it relates to us looking at our dad negatively, because it will only do more to harm us in our future relationship with our kids than it would to be angry at him because he went there every day of our lives. I'm going to break bread tonight, boy. I had the air conditioner on. I guess it's gone now. So she protected how we saw him in order to protect the context or the version of the story that we saw, because if she understood, if we didn't watch these eyes, there would be a third generation of Williams Neal men that didn't have fathers in their lives. It's all about the version of truth that you give yourself. It's all about the interpretation of the data. You got to wash them eyes. The enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. He's the God of this air. So he only wants you to interpret, I ain't good enough. I ain't strong enough. I ain't skinny enough. I ain't smart enough. I ain't the right color. I wasn't born with the right last name. The enemy wants you to interpret that data, because the moment you begin to interpret that data and you begin to see that from your eyes, you will never be able to outperform that image of how you see yourself. Oh my God, that's a bread breaking moment. That's a bread. Oh, I just can't get along. We can't blame my race because I'm not where I want to be, because I see a lot of people that look like me, that's my color, that's very successful. If it was my race only, it would be none of us that can prosper in this environment. I can't blame my gender anymore. And you can say, motivational teacher, you sound very insensitive. I'm not saying it's not tougher, but what I'm saying is you can't blame your gender for you not maximizing your gifts and your talents. What I'm saying, we can't blame the white man for keeping a foot on our necks. We can't blame, because I was born a Catholic, a Protestant, or Baptist, or I was born over here. I can't blame my lack of success or my lack of my destiny or my lack of my purpose, my goals in my life on that anymore, because you've just been given the keys to the kingdom. You've just been given the key. You got to watch them eyes, because the moment your eyes begin to see the story as I'm less than, you'll always be the butt of every situation in your life. You know that less than sign look like a Pac-Man backwards. As long as you make yourself less than, you'll always be less than. In my line of work, as a motivational teacher, as a coach, a trainer, a speaker, I meet a lot of people and I hear a lot of stories. And I hear people that the majority of the time when I'm in these conversations, it always goes back to their youth. When my dad said I was too fat, when my teacher said I wasn't smart enough, when my basketball coach said I wasn't fast enough, when my dance teacher told me I couldn't dance, when my music teacher told me I didn't have any musical talent, when my pastor hurt me at the church, like all of these is trauma. All of this is, I call it, is not physical blunt trauma, but it's mental blunt trauma. And that mental blunt trauma is meant to change the narrative of the story of that you believe about yourself. If I had to do over again, and if I was 19 all over again, I would have made different decisions. Hey, Felinda, thanks for joining us. I would have made different decisions. I'm telling you, you're starting to believe the version that the 49-year-old version of you is not as good as the 19-year-old version of you. And that viewpoint and that lens will always hinder your productivity at 49. And what your viewpoint at 19 is hindered you all the way up to 49. It ain't because if you were 19, because you would have had that same thought process and that same viewpoint from these eyes. And so nothing would be different if you went back, because it's still the same mind working. Oh, that's a bread breaking moment. That if I could go back, you ain't got to go back because you breathing today. You got to move now. If I could go back, oh my God, the only reason to glorify, to go back, the only reason to glorify going back anytime when I was better, there's no way that you should be better at 19 than you are at 59. That's 40 more years of living. Where maturity comes with time. Thank you, LeVars. That's 40 more years of living where you've seen so many different things, that you've been around that mountain once or twice and you can interpret that data differently. But the true challenge is I never washed my eyes. And so my 19-year-old version is the same story that the 49-year-old version is telling, but now I'm telling it at 49 with more conviction because I've been able to interpret more data, convince my eyes of more data that supports my mindset at 19. And so at 49, I am at that point irresistible to change. And I choose not to change. Oh, that's a bread-breaking moment. We got to change our eyes. I got people chiming into this conversation. Lavaria said, maturity always comes with time. It's supposed to. But the challenge is, bro, that a lot of time that if I'm not watching what my eyes see, age and maturity can support the story that I've been telling myself for years, that I'm the victim. I'm not the victor. That I'm the tail and I'm not the head. It's contrary to everything that the great I am is telling us. And until we begin to watch these eyes, I'm going to tell you what that means in a second. Elke just said, I know we've all experienced trauma throughout our lives, but we can heal from it. It's our responsibility to get the help we need to heal. Blaming others will never allow us to reach our full potential. We heal and we use our story to help others heal. We use to give God placed in each and every one of us to do what we're doing today. The reason why, Elke, I love that comment. The reason why I'm sitting here today is because I was a person that for the majority of my life believed somewhat that no matter what I did, I would never be beyond broke. I was a person that believed because of my upbringing or because of my past mistakes, my past failures, I was a person that somewhat believed like I was so insecure to the point that I didn't know who I was. Like I allowed the insecurity because I came up in a high school that was on academic probation because I had 4 or 5 different careers in my 20 and most of them were failed. And so I subconsciously believed that I couldn't get ahead until I started, honestly, man, I got to break bread. until I started on this path of personal growth, until I started on this path of, I've always, trust me on this now, I've always believed in God. I've always gone to church. I've always told other people how good God is to me, even in the midst of my believing, but my unbelief. I always knew that God had more for me. And I leaned on that point that I believe God had more for me, but I didn't know how to act on that point that God had more for me. But because I believed it, I kept wanting to do different things because what I was seeing didn't look like what I believed. And so you come to a path that got two roads. Like either I believe it, but at some point my actions have to line up with my belief. At some point, I got to begin to change the narrative about because if I never awaken my I am, others can never hear my story and others can never heal because I'm so insecure that somebody else can do it better. I'm so insecure that because I don't have the degree, I'm so insecure because I don't have the 501c3. I'm so insecure because I don't have the credentials. And my insecurity, hey, Jackie, and my insecurity drives my decision, which keeps me average. You got to watch them eyes. Oh my God, can I do this? God, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Everything in your environment is set up. Oh, can I do this? I'm going to do this, man. Y'all, I'm about to go there. Everything in your environment is set up to tell you you are average. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to tell you got to prove the world wrong. Pat, I'm only doing this. Listen, I'm not doing this for you to get in condemnation. I'm just doing this to show you how the world works. Everything in your life is set up to show you how average you are. Come on now. That's why you got to watch your eyes. We go to a modest house. We drive and we go to a modest house. We go to the grocery store, and now with inflation and the price of milk, now we got to add up what we're getting while we're doing it. Gas is $5 a gallon, and now I can only get 9 gallons of gas at a time to go in my car, knowing it's not gonna get me. My kids. Come on, man. This is not condemnation. I'm just showing you how your eyes lie to you. Like my kids go down there to the average school, and I'm doing my job, and I'm doing it to the best of my ability. But I'm on an average job to where I'm just spending my time. I'm just working my time. I don't love what I do. I haven't been called to what I do for 40 hours a week, but I go and I do it because I know I got mouths to feed and I got bills to pay. So I'm doing an average day's work for an average day's salary. I get in my average car, I drive back to my average house, and then at the end of the month, I look at my bank account and I can barely make ends meet. The world is set up to, come on, man. Listen, you can't believe your eyes. The world around us is set up to make us to believe, no. The world is set up around us to make us appear, better word, to appear average. Everything around you says average. Average. All of it around me says average. Now, you got to watch these eyes. Because if you don't watch these eyes, you will fall into the trap of believing that my surroundings is who I am. We will start believing that what I do on my job is who I am. We'll start believing that this average house is all I'm supposed to have, or this bank account that barely got ends to meet. If I don't watch these eyes, I'll believe that I'm supposed to always only be able to make ends meet. If I don't watch these eyes, I'll believe that my kids who making C's, if I don't watch these eyes, I'll soon believe that they're average. Oh, that's a bread-breaking moment. I assume believe that my average car is the most I could ever have. I assume to believe that my influence and my reach in my community is just what it is today. I got 4 people I talk to. We'll start to believe that my lifestyle is average. Therefore, that makes Me average. Come on, I'm breaking bread. I know that's tough right there. I know that's tough right there. And I'm telling you, your environment is set up around you to make you feel as though you're average. And see, if I don't begin to watch these eyes, I will allow my environment to seep into me. And now my eyes dictate how I feel, and my eyes dictate what I see. My eyes dictate how I interpret data or information around me. My eyes begin to interpret it, and it all comes back average, because average is what I deal with every day. Come on, Felinda. I'm breaking bread right now, but I'm gotta tell you, you gotta watch them eyes. These eyes will lie to you. In the midst of an average house, oh my God, I'm about to break bread. In the midst of a job where I gotta pay my bills, in the midst of my kids just making C's and just barely make it, in the midst of when everything is rising, I'm studying, looking at my pennies, trying to make sure how I'm gonna make it work. In the midst of me paying $5 for a gallon of milk, in the midst of I can't find formula for my kid, in the midst of the shooting that's right over there in Buffalo, in the midst of all of these things, there's a warrior on the inside of you. In the midst of you going through your average life, there's a warrior there's a mighty man or a mighty woman of valor on the inside of you. You better watch them eyes. In the midst of I'm telling you, man, because you sit here looking at me, I'm telling you what I know about you. Average eyes can't watch me for more than 5 minutes. People that only looking for status quo can't watch me for more than 5 minutes. If you're watching me, I know that there's something above average in you. And if you're looking for these external eyes to validate what's in you, you'll never get it. You'll never have what's on the inside of you if you're looking for this outside to validate it first. Oh my God, that's a bread-breaking moment. I love the story of Gideon. I love the story of Gideon. Y'all know who Gideon is. Gideon is one of the people in the Old Testament and the Bible. Gideon was a farmer. Gideon was a farmer. And Gideon, it was a famine going on in the land, and Gideon was such a good farmer that Gideon had wheat. So Gideon, they said the Midianites were coming and they're going to take all the land. Gideon was hiding inside the wheat press. I mean, inside the wheat press where he was sifting the wheat. And the angel of God came to the farmer and said, "Hey, mighty man of valor." The angel didn't come speak to Gideon about what, hey, farmer, I got a word for you, farmer. He said, "Hey, mighty man of valor." He didn't wait to see till Gideon became one of the strongest warriors in the land. He didn't wait until Gideon had done the acts before he called him a mighty man of valor. He called him that in the midst of his average occupation, farming. Likewise, like the angel came to Gideon and said, "Hey, farmer, you mighty man," before he ever took down one person. Before he ever defeated the Midianites, the Amorites, the Sheckites, and all the other kites, before he ever defeated anybody, they called him a mighty man of valor. And I'm coming to speak to you as I am the angel of the Lord tonight. You mighty woman, you mighty man of valor, get up. I know you ain't slayed. I know you ain't slayed no giant just yet. I know. Listen. I know you haven't even found your 5 smooth stones right now. I know you haven't done the work to be called a mighty man of valor or mighty woman of valor. But I'm calling you there in advance. It's time for you to wake up the real you. There's a giant on the inside of you that's just begging to be birthed. There's a giant on the inside of you that's just waiting for his appearance. It's time for us to get out the wine press, and it's time for us to strap up, to put on our weapons in our warfare, and it's time for us to, man, come on, man. It's time for us not to care what somebody else thinks about me. I am unapologetic about the grace that God has given me on my life. I am unapologetic because God has given me the strength and the energy. He's awakened my I am to walk out in this earth. I'm unapologetic about the things that God is doing in and through me. I am unapologetic about the things that I accumulate, not to lay up on this earth, that I can leave a legacy for my children's children. I'm unapologetic. And until we get to the point where I'm able to stand up and call myself a mighty man of valor or a mighty woman of valor in the midst of my average everyday life. Oh my God, that's a bread-breaking moment. That's a bread-breaking moment. Until I'm able to call myself a giant, until I'm able to call myself the DON, until I'm able to call myself the artist, until I'm able to call myself the hair replacement specialist, until I'm able to call myself the motivational teacher to the masses, until I'm able to stand there flat-footed without seeing the evidence and call myself that, I am disqualified, until I can make an announcement without having seen. I love the fact that he said, man, yeah, they believe. But blessed are y'all who believe that haven't seen me. Yeah, blessed are y'all that didn't need to touch the scars in my hand. Blessed are y'all who can walk by faith and not by sight, understanding that the things that I see are what's fake, and the things that I have on the inside of me is what's real. Wake up, you woman of valor. Wake up, you man of valor. There's a giant on the inside of you, and this world only wants you to believe what your eyes have naturally seen. How do I watch my eyes? Oh my God. Here's the key to the kingdom. How do I watch my eyes? I look from the lens of the great I am. I am Justice Pat Hugg, elected tomorrow. I add my faith to yours, and we will call it done, Pat. And collectively as a community, we add our faith to you, and we will call it done because you called it done. That's a bread-breaking moment. Come on, Tracy. That's a bread-breaking moment that I'm not going to sit back and expect things just to change. No, I'm that person that if things around me are not changing, I change the thing. I want to be a millionaire. I want my business. I want 4 restaurants, or I want to be able to service my community in this way. It doesn't just happen. It just doesn't happen. There's a place and a time where I got to see myself as something more than I've known myself. I just broke bread. There comes a place and time that I have to see myself more than I have known myself. There comes a place and time where I'm going to have to stand up and take a stand, or I'm going to put my name in a hat, or I'm going to start that business when I know I don't have everything I need to start it. I know right now that I might be an underdog to be Justice Pat, but I'm going to put my name in the hat and see if God will work for me. Let's see what the great I am wants to do with this awakened I am. Let's see what the great I am can do with one awakened I am. We can turn this world upside down. Wake up. Man, that's a bread-breaking moment. There's a mighty man and a mighty woman of valor on the inside of you. They're just waiting for you to change the lens of which you've been looking through life. You've been watching through this set of eyes, this physical set of eyes right here in the great I am, saying, change your lens to see life from the lens of the great I am. The moment you start seeing through the lens of the great I am, your I am become awakened. And man, you won't believe the giant that you are in this earth. And I say giant because of the impact and the influence that you will have on this earth. Stop limiting yourself to being this small. Oh, no, let me say it this way. Stop limiting yourself to your environment and start believing that there's more to you. Start believing that with the rate of information and resources that are being passed in today's society, that there are solutions to problems that have not yet even been determined yet. That's on the inside of you. You got ingenuity, you got creativity on the inside of you. Stop limiting yourself. Oh, all I can have is this. I told y'all it was 8 of us in a 3-bedroom trailer. I never could. And that's why I would get teach, baby. Teach, come on. I'm gonna break this bread. I never could just subject myself to this is how God wants me to live. I went to church so much. I believe that there was so much more. But until I started putting personal growth and development with my faith and started adding that work, things could not ever change. As long as I was having my temper tantrums out of my insecurity, things could not ever change. Until I believe that I fight my battles and not the greater I am fight my battles, things could never change. It's been this journey over the last 10 years that has really changed my outlook on life, because it's taken me, and I'm still learning and growing, but this is really 10 years of changing my lens from that of my I am to that of an awakened I am. Endure hardship like a good soldier. And when you bring up a good point right there, bro, you bring up a good point. What's the purpose of hardship? What's the purpose of discomfort? What's the purpose? How does the great I am awaken your, just thinking about in the Bible, anything great came from a travesty. Anything great, you want me to just give you a walking history? Like the parting of the Red Sea, that only came about because the children of Israel were slaves in Egypt. It only came about because of that. We talk about David. The only reason we know who David is because there was a Goliath. We talk about Jesus. The only reason why we know who he was because he died on a cross, and because the Pharisees and the Sadducees fought against him. The only reason, natural example, the only reason we know who Tyler Perry is because he escaped domestic abuse from an early age, and he would go hide himself under the porch and pretend he's in a place where he's never been. So he used that same creativity to create his plays. Terry Crews is another good example. Terry Crews, same thing, had domestic abuse. Saw his dad hit his mom so hard one time he knocked him out, and so he decided that he was going to put on muscle so he could make his dad stop hitting his mom. And Terry Crews ended up building that into an NFL career, and then also ended up now the acting career, and has figured out how to transform himself from that person who was angry and use anger to fuel his success into a person now that's meek and humble and looking for ways to bless the kingdom. Yeah, you need one more example? I give you even Berkshire Hathaway. One of the richest men in the world was once afraid of public speaking. He was afraid. Warren Buffett was afraid of public speaking. He had to go through the hardship of being laughed at, being ridiculed, in order to get to the place where he could sit on a platform and tell people about investments for the next 30 years. And people to the caliber of LeBron James reach out to him for investment advice. Bro, if you can't deal with adversity, this life, I'm telling you, your dreams, your priorities, your goals, your destiny, if we don't learn how to endure hardship like a good soldier and see in what area is the great I am awakening my I am. And I'm sure that in our periods of life, that if we haven't, we will. And that if we aren't in any right now, we will. That we're going to see moments in our lives that look very unfavorable. But he kept going. Come on, Vaniqua. We're going to see areas in our lives where it doesn't look like I'm going to raise my banner in victory. But I'm challenging you to keep the faith and to keep the fight. No matter what your natural eyes try to show you, or what visual your natural eyes is trying to impart in you, I challenge you to see that from the lens of the great I am. So your I am can be awakened to a whole nother level of living. I'm telling you, God never allows a crisis to go unused. The great I am never allows a crisis in your life to go unused. He doesn't cause the crisis. Living causes the crisis. Being on earth causes the crisis. But trust me, none of those things are void when it comes to your personal growth and development. Use those times as tools in order to improve you. I know, motivational teacher, man. Like I know the world can be cruel, people can be cruel, but just know, don't see people in the world through that lens. My wife and I had a conversation last night, and we were in a place, and then she made me laugh because she said, man, I saw you go out your way to speak to somebody that you know don't really care for you. She said they walked by you, and whether you noticed it or not, walked by you, saw you, and then speak to you, but you made sure you went out your way to speak to that individual. I said, you know why? I said, because my kingdom is not of this world. And I don't, my goal is never to lay up treasures on this earth. I understand what the true battle is. Like, whether you speak to me, I'm not bound by whether you like me or whether you don't. I'm bound that I treat all people are gifts from God. All people. And so I went out my way to speak to the individual, not trying to be but to say, man, because number one, I didn't want to. And so when my natural eye says, okay, you should do this, my God lens says you should do the opposite. And so I went out my way to speak so that individual would know that I walked all the way across the room in order to do it, so they'll know I intentionally came just to say hello to them. That I found them that important that I needed to speak to them. Why? Not because I need something from that person. Not because that person has great influence or that person has a whole lot of impact. Not that I need anything from that person. It was just something that my natural eyes didn't want to do. So I went out the way because I know the lens of the great I am see people as valuable. So I went out my way, and she was like, man, like that shows growth and maturity on my behalf. And I said, man, it's the great I am awakening my I am. Man, you got to learn how to be good with you. You got to learn that it takes a stronger man to do the hard thing than it does somebody to do what's easy and what's simple. It takes a stronger woman to look beyond what they see with these natural eyes and to be able to see through the lens of the great I am. It takes a strong person to say, I know how I feel and I know what I want to do, but nevertheless, not my will as your will. Bread breaking. Got people chiming into this conversation. Trust in him, Elke. Trust in him. His time, his plan is perfect. His promises are true. He never leaves nor forsakes us. Come on, Elke. We need to be good with God. When we're good with God, we're all good. Pat chiming into this conversation. Everything has a purpose. Life is a journey. It's not about you, but it's about someone whom you will come into contact with. Amen. And that's why all people are valuable to me. It is not people that I think I might need something from. It's all people. Like you'd never like man, if God can use a donkey, God can, man, come on, man. The great I am can use any resource on earth at his disposal to bless you if he so chooses. So don't be so immature and have such less EQ, emotional intelligence, that you walk away from a blessing because you didn't feel like speaking, or that person said this to me and I got to let them know. Man, come on, man. Outgrow that stuff. Outgrow that stuff. Just know it's never about that individual that's coming to you. It's all about that spirit on the inside of you that's attracting that. And the moment you begin to change what you're attracting, you begin to see those situations subside that causes you to act out. And you'll start seeing that you got more situations that cause it to bring out the blessing in you. There's more of that around you than what you know. But because I'm so attracted to this negative lashing out and got to get people told and let them know how I feel, and I'm hurt, I'm dismayed, and this, that, and the other, I got to let them know how they make me feel, that disqualifies you from your blessing. It disqualifies you from your purpose. It disqualifies you from your destiny. It disqualifies you from your dream. And whatever giants you don't slay, your children will be left to slay those. I love the fact that my mom settled within herself about my dad, because that one less giant that I had to slay in my lifetime because of the version of the story that she allowed for me to see from my own lens. And the stories that we're not able to change in our lifetimes, our kids will come right back and see it. The reason why Cain and Abel had the same issues because Adam and Eve left them unrectified. They were hiding in the cool of the garden. and covered themselves with fig leaves. And so Cain and Abel was left to contend with the legacy that their parents left. And I'm saying, let's get to work. And for me, I already told my son, listen, like David told Solomon, I can't build no temple because I'm too busy slaying these doggone dragons out here. I'm too busy. I got too much blood on my hand because every curse I can break, I'm going to break it. I can't worry about building because right now I'm going to break every curse I can. And boy, I'm going to leave you all with the knowledge and the information and the resources to take this Williams kingdom to a whole nother level. Why? Because of this information, this knowledge that we're given right now. Build, baby, build. Because of this information and knowledge that I'm giving right now, this same stuff that I'm talking to you, these kids get at least 40 minutes of this today, every day, on the way to school and on the way back home. They get at least 40 minutes of this time right here where I'm asking them questions and I'm picking their brains about, I want to see, because, you know, these eyes locate you. I want to see how they see the world. And I love the fact that they're so engaged in athletics because athletics allows for us to teach these lessons in a real relevant way where they see results. They see results real time. And so with them being so engaged in athletics, like, okay, didn't have a good game. Why not? How do we change it? Okay, you lost your attitude. You lost your temper right there. What happened? What triggered it? Okay, so next time we see that, how do we react? I'm slaying all these giants. The great I am has awakened my I am. We're dealing with all these giants in these days, man, because listen, if we don't slay them today, they'll be left to slay them tomorrow. We got to get to working. We got to get to moving. We got to get to moving. Got to wake up that giant on the inside of you. Y'all, this has been an epic Motivational Monday, episode 144. Awaken your I am. Watch your eyes. They determine the story that you tell yourself. Wipe these natural lenses and begin to look through the lens of the great I am. You get a different viewpoint, come up hither so I can show you a new angle to that same problem you've been dealing with for years so you can have different results, so you can get a different behavior and you gain different manifestation. It's your boy, the motivational teacher to the masses. Thank y'all for chiming in tonight. Y'all have been phenomenal tonight. Thank you, Elkie. Thank you, Edwin. Thank you, Felinda. Thank you, Vaniqua. I appreciate you all, Lavaris. My mom, I appreciate you all chiming into this conversation. I'm telling you all, the more and more we listen to this, the more and more we interpret, the more and more we listen to it, and we eat it, you begin to see your life change from the inside out. Come on, Pat. We're going to slay these dragons. The first one is tomorrow. The first one is tomorrow. I'm looking forward to a text. I'm looking forward to a message on Facebook or something that say, man, we did it. I'm looking forward to it, man. I want to thank y'all again for spending time with me. Any time spent with me, I never take it for granted. I never take your time for granted. I promise I will not show up if I don't have fresh bread. If I don't have fresh bread, I won't even show up. But if you see me go live, just know there's bread to be broken and to change your life from the inside out. And until next time, I am challenging you to wage war on mediocrity. Your boy is out.
It ain't no